Hi everybody and welcome to Smack Talk. It's a very special day. We are joined today by royalty. She's also the founder of Ambi, a music blog, an avid wrestling fan and seasoned veteran of the interviewing world. And recently she was made the official backstage interviewer for none other than AEW. So please bow your heads, bend the knee for the interview queen, Alicia Atout. Your Majesty, welcome to my humble podcast.
Oh my gosh, you're amazing. That was the best show ever. Hello, thank you so much for having me.
No problem at all, it's a pleasure. I just want to quickly start by asking the pronunciation of your surname. Now, I've heard two different ways of doing this. I said Atout, but I've heard you on your interviews saying Atout.
Yes, so there are three ways I always hear it. One is Atout, like how you pronounced it.
Mhm.
And people say Atout, and they do the second T silent, or Atout. Now, ever since I was a kid, I've always said it as Atout. Apparently, there's some like French background to it somewhere deep down in my background, but
Okay.
I don't do the fancy Atout pronunciation. I just do Atout. So that's how I say it, but however people want to really take it, I don't care.
Yeah, because I love it. I mean, I was watching a lot of your stuff and over the years and things like that, and every time I was like, she says a toot? What the hell? Like, I always thought it was a tout, and then it really confused me. So I thought the first thing I have to ask you is that, because you know you want to get a name right, and my God, I've got some names wrong in the past and felt the brunt of that. So has that ever happened to you in like an interview where you've gone to say something and completely mispronounced it?
No, I've actually been really lucky in that regard, but there is a story. I think it was my third interview. I was interviewing a band, and they have these two sisters in the group,
Mhm.
and they look the exact same. Like, you could swear they're twins. So I went to sit down, and typically a publicist is like, "Oh, this is so and so." So we did the interview, and prior, I was like, "Oh, hi, I'm Alicia. So nice to meet you." And she's like, "Oh, hi, I'm so and so."
Mhm.
And then 2 seconds later, I turned my back just to set up my my video camera, and then it looks like the same girl is still in the room. Like, she's literally, I'm like, okay, cool. So then we start the interview, and I'm like, hey, it's Alicia, and I was nervous, and this is like
Mhm.
3, and I was still such a rookie, and I'm like, introduce you to my interview with Anna from, and I said the band and everything, and then she's like, oh no, I'm not Anna, and I was like, oh no, like they did a switch on me, like a twin
Oh
switch, and they
no.
had the same sweater on, like they're both just wearing black. They had the same haircut, and yeah, that's the most embarrassed I've been in like all my years of interviewing. Which, I mean, it's like they did twin magic.
Yeah, I was
No,
going to say they Bella twinned you.
yeah, that's not.
Oh man.
But, and they weren't offended or anything, but I was embarrassed, even though I was like, I mean, it's understandable why I got that wrong. Like, they look like the exact same person. But
Oh, that's
yeah,
so
it was
cruel.
just one of those moments where my heart sunk, and I was like, why'd you guys even switch in the room? Like, why are you dressed the same? Don't do this to me.
They
But
so you
the
know they
interview,
do that on purpose.
oh, I swear they did. But the interview
Oh,
went well after that, and yeah.
oh, that's so awesome. But what a crazy thing. Oh man, I can't imagine how that must have been. Like you turn your back 1 minute and they just swap. That's so rude,
That's
frankly.
literally what happened. That's literally what happened. And I was just,
Oh,
oh, I felt my heart in my stomach. And I was like, I did not just call you the wrong name. And then I literally went like, you guys do realize you're dressed the exact same. And like, you're not sisters, you're twins. Your parents told you wrong.
oh man. Oh, that's so bad. Like
Yeah,
I
it
just
was so funny.
I can't imagine. But I mean, kudos to you for pulling it together and also the fact that they weren't offended by that because like clearly that could have got awkward.
Oh, yeah. And the thing is too, like that kind of, you know, it was just when I started, and I was like, not that it's an excuse, but I think I was like 16 or 17 when I did that interview.
Oh wow.
So I've blossomed a lot since then. And it's like, exactly. I've interviewed twins since then, and brothers and sisters. And it's like, now going into it, you just make sure you know every little detail on that person's face so that
Absolutely.
never happens again.
Oh, well, I mean, I did a bit of background on yourself, and obviously there's a lot of interviewers will ask you the same stuff, like what was your favourite interview and all that kind of thing. And I like to come at it from a different angle. So, talk me through this Swedish Fish obsession that you've got.
Oh my. So, Swedish Fish. I was at a Rise wrestling show in Chicago.
Mhm.
They're an all-female wrestling promotion. They're pretty much do developmental. So bigger companies and promotions will look at Rise and kind of scout the females who wrestle there and then kind of pick them off and hire them or sign them for their promotions. So I was at one of their shows and I have a bunch of really good friends who work there, and there was this box of Swedish Fish on the floor. And I'm like, what are these? I love candy. And all the girls were like, you gotta try them. These are delicious. So I take one and I'm like apprehensive. And I'm like, all right, let's give this a try. Next thing you know, they were like these individually wrapped Swedish Fish. I had like 15.
Oh wow.
They, oh, they're delicious. So that was my entry to them. You can get them in Canada, but they're much harder to find. Whereas in America, you can go into a Walmart or a Five Below, and they have them like everywhere.
Yeah.
So anytime I'm in the States or anytime I do a convention, I always buy them, or fans now buy them for me. So yeah, it's just become my obsession. They're delicious.
See, I saw them in like I think it was in like a 7-Eleven or something like that when I was in New York, and it just they look disgusting. Like I'm not gonna lie, they look horrible.
They're
Are
pretty
they
much like a berry flavored gummy. Like, and
okay?
I love they taste like raspberry. Like, and I think they're delicious.
Sure. Okay,
Yeah.
because I thought they were going to be like a white chocolate or something, like with a
Oh no.
flavouring.
That'd be gross.
So you're not a
Not that I
fan.
don't like white chocolate, but I can just imagine looking at the Swedish Fish and thinking like that doesn't go with white chocolate.
Yeah,
But
I might have to try
that,
this. Like maybe I'll get to try them when I'm next out that way, and give
yeah,
them a shot. I don't know if you can get them here actually in the UK, but I'll do some research and find out, and then I'll let you know what I think of them because I'm intrigued.
but look into it.
Oh man! So we mentioned New York. That was where we got speaking. Was WrestleCon, wasn't it? At the what was that place? The Hilton in New York City. Yeah. How was that for you? Because WrestleCon was mad.
Oh my, yeah, that's a good way to explain it. It was crazy. That was my first ever WrestleCon.
Oh wow.
I've only been wrestling. I know. I've been doing wrestling for about 2.5 years at this
Hmm.
point. And when I say doing wrestling, not as a wrestler, folks, I know by now from that lovely intro that was given, I interviewed the wrestlers, but I've been doing that for about 2.5 years now. And last year I debated going to WrestleCon, and then I was like, you know what? Let's sit this one out and wait until my profile's a lot bigger, and then let's really just do it properly. So I ended up coming down this year, and it was amazing. I signed for 2 days. I hosted tons of events. I opened the show directly for WrestleCon each morning, just walking the floor, talking to the fans with a microphone. It was so much fun. And I just love conventions because you literally just get to meet the people that support you and really get to know them, and you get to put like in-person names and faces to Twitter profile
Yeah. Right.
photographs. Like it's just you see people's fandom and respect for you, and it's really gratifying to think, wow, these are the people, they're those numbers that you see, and like they're those people that really care for you and tweet your way and watch your stuff. And it was just it was really meaningful just being able to sit there and meet so many people, or just walk the floor and hear your name being yelled and you turn around and it's just like a fan wanting to say hey. It was really cool. And I got to meet people like yourself and see so many of my wrestling friends and buddies. And I also hosted the Bullet Club block party, which I saw you at, and that was
Yeah.
just one of the best events and shows I've ever been to. That was the highlight of that weekend for me. I can't thank Steve and Tama and excuse me, all of the Bullet Club boys involved for having me as their host. That was seriously one of the best parties
That was
ever.
oh, wasn't it? It was such a kick-ass day. Like, and I mean,
All
just
the
from a personal perspective, obviously having designed the shirt, so like walking around seeing that shirt everywhere was the most surreal thing. But it was a great day. Like as you said, credit to Steve and Tama and the guys for putting on probably the best party of the weekend. There was that little indie show at the MetLife that kind of came a close second, but otherwise it was bloody good. And
yeah, I
sorry, go on.
oh sorry, go ahead.
I was only going to say we have to give a little shout out to my Gaijin Club brother David Ace, because that was probably another one of my little highlights. Was you and I walking over to the table, and his face just like he was so embarrassed and nervous to meet you. It was incredibly funny for me, but like, he was sat there going, "Oh my god, there's Alicia. I really want to talk to her, but I'm like so scared and all this." He was so funny. Uh,
That cracked me up. So, like, for everyone listening, pretty much, Rich and I were just talking, and then he's like, "Okay, my friend over here," as he just kind of mentioned, he's like, "He really wants to meet you, but he's too scared." And I was like, "Oh, well, what the hell? Like, I'm just gonna go over there." So I literally walk up to the table, I take a seat, and I'm like, "Hey, man, nice to meet you." And his face just
oh, wasn't it?
froze. He froze, and his cheeks went so red, and he
Yeah.
tried speaking and couldn't. It was so damn funny.
Oh,
And then finally, we started conversing and stuff,
yeah.
and I'm like, "Dude, I don't bite. Like, I'm chill. Don't worry." It was so funny. And that was in a day of like meeting tons of people like that who
Yeah.
like really liked the videos and the content that was put out. And I just want everyone to know who's listening right now. Like, I love, love, love meeting anyone who supports me. And I'll converse with you, take photographs. Like, I'm never the kind of person to be like, ugh, not now or whatever. So please don't be scared to say hi.
Absolutely. I'd 100% agree with that. Like, I mean, we had such a good conversation there, and you were like running around like a mad thing all day, but you still had the
Oh
time
my
to talk
gosh.
to people, and just, you're one of the coolest people I've met. And I'm not saying that because you're like in front of
Thank
me
you.
now on this interview, but like genuinely, I've met quite a few people. I mean, not as many people as you've met, but you are very cool and happy to talk to like everybody. Very cool.
Yeah, thank you so much. That day was crazy. Like, we opened the show. I did all of the little random announcements for meet and greets and stuff. And then finally there was like a 15-minute break where I just walked through the party and it hit me so hard. Like, whoa, you're the host of this. This is so surreal. There were over 1,000 Bullet Club fans there. And you would literally walk and your head would be like a ping pong machine, not ping pong, a pinball machine.
Yes. Yeah.
It's just like your name, your name, your name, your name. And I can't even imagine what it was like for the actual boys of the Bullet Club being their party. Like, they must have just, I saw it, they were bombarded everywhere. It was like in the best of ways. I can't even imagine how many T-suites were put up that day.
It was an insane thing. I think if there were cease and desist letters going around, that'd have been like the hub of it because there was so many too sweets.
Definitely.
And what about Harold Mage turning up, President of New Japan?
Yes,
Like
I
that was
saw
insane.
it's cool. There was like the who's who
Yeah,
at that party. Like, that really was the case.
I just couldn't believe it. Like we were sat in the bar area, like having a couple of Sierra Mists, and one of the guys looks out the window and goes, "Oh my god, there's the President of New Japan right there." And I beelined. I was like, "I need to go and meet this dude." So I went and pitched, did an elevator pitch to him just because when are you ever going to get that chance again, right?
No, whenever moments like that happen, it's always great to take advantage of them. And, it's, as you said, who knows when that will happen again, if ever again. So take your shot.
You're right. And I mean, it's a nice little segue into obviously your relationship with AEW now. How did that sort of come about? Like, did you pitch to them or did they approach you? Or how does a deal like that go down?
Yeah, so as a lot of people know, I was involved in All In last year, which
Hmm.
was like the highlight of my career and one of the highlights of my life. That was just like the coolest day ever.
Gotta be right.
But yeah, and ever since then, I kind of just told Cody and the boys if there's anything happening in the future, because I heard some rumors going around.
Hmm.
I would absolutely love to be involved. And then the conversation just kind of went from there. And the next thing you know, I got a text. First, it was from Cody, and then one from Brandy saying, "Hey, we want to bring you on as the backstage interviewer for Double or Nothing." And I completely freaked out in the most wonderful of ways. I love those guys and her so much. Everyone behind being the elite, I adore, and now to be a part of it in an even bigger way, it's so cool to me because I'm a fan first, and then kind of the interviewer second. And I think that's kind of what shows through
Mm.
whenever I do my interviews or I'm backstage. So it's very cool to now have an even better working relationship with all of those people. And I can't wait for May 25th in Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's not long now, a couple of weeks.
I
So
know.
it's crazy how quick that's come around. And
Awesome spots. It's going to be great.
I mean, it's just you said it yourself. Like you are a fan, like you're an avid fan of wrestling, and it does shine through in your interviews. I think that's why I gravitated to watching your stuff on YouTube and things like that. Was just how much of a fan you are, and obviously, like I kind of see it in a way in myself with the design side of things because I'm a fan more than an artist, I would say. So I get the understanding of like a gimmick. So, like with yourself, where you're interviewing, do you find that it's difficult sometimes to separate being a fan from being an interviewer? And like you're sitting there, like you're seeing these guys like Kenny Omega and Cody, and all this litany of a who's who of wrestling superstardom. Do you ever find yourself sitting there as a fan going, "Oh my god"?
Yeah, I've definitely had some holy shit moments where this is somebody I've admired for years, or some scenarios they're people I've watched since I was like 4 or 5. So
Right.
it's I have some very surreal moments, but it's to the point now where I've done thousands of interviews. I think I'm probably at the 5,000 point
Wow.
within 6 years. So maybe five, yeah, maybe like within 5 years. So now it's to the point where it's like you meet somebody, you don't really get as starstruck, and it's not to devalue who the person is. It's just you kind of get used to it, and then afterwards, I've had moments where I'm like, oh my god, I just met that person, and then like I'll probably have a little cry that night because it's like it hits you, and that sounds silly, but it hits you like, whoa, my job, my passion, my career brought me to sitting down with said person. That's kind of crazy. So it's
Mm.
never something I take for granted, but in the moment now, I think simply just because of how many of these things I've done, I don't really get starstruck much anymore. I still get nerves and anxious and super excited, which I love that feeling. But as far as
Mm.
the starstruck side of it goes, I try to kind of suppress that and just do the interview, have fun with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a strange one, like because obviously I'm still quite young in this industry. I suppose you're the interview queen. I'd be, I suppose, the interview serf or peasant, I guess, at this point. So kind of, for me, it's a weird one where I'm talking to you now and it's totally cool, but like 10 minutes ago when I was getting ready for this, I was scared stiff. I was like,
Oh
oh
my
my
god.
god, I'm interviewing the greatest interviewer out there. Like so, it's a
Thank you.
bit nerve wracking to be honest, but I do my best. And I gave you that big inflated intro just to try and stall for time, and also for accuracy's sake as well.
Right, just always put the person over, blow their ego up, and
Oh
then
yeah,
like you're good to go.
totally right. Yeah, nothing like a good ego massage in the world. So, so I mean, we've covered AEW, and prior to that, obviously you were with Impact as well. You were doing a lot with Impact backstage. So how different is working with Impact to working independently, like on YouTube and through Ambi?
Pretty much the main difference is with Impact, or with any promotion for that matter.
Hmm.
Whenever I'm doing backstage stuff, you're just kind of breaking that wall. You're usually fed what to say. You knock out that promo, and then you just move on to the next promo. Whereas when it's my stuff, it's all me. Like I do the social media, I do the research, I do all the stalking on all of my guests. And then I'm the one who has the camera equipment. I sit down with them and yada yada yada. So the biggest difference is there are obviously a lot more people behind the scenes when you're at a promotion. Whereas when it comes to just my YouTube stuff and my vlogging and my channel, it's all me. So that's the main difference. They're both equally as fun, and you get to just still be yourself, but there's just a lot more people kind of, pulling the strings and that kind of stuff when you are with the promotion.
Yeah, because I suppose they've got their message to get across, like promoting a pay-per-view or a show or an angle. So I guess you're kind of directed in that way.
Exactly. You're told, okay, we want to put this over, whereas in my interviews, I can go from just like how you are talking about promotions and Swedish Fish and like bringing up their dogs, like whatever you want to do, you can do it. There's nobody telling you no.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you've mentioned dogs now, so we have to, don't we? We have to go there. Who's got the cutest dog in wrestling?
Pharaoh, Cody and Brandy for sure.
He's
They
adorable.
have, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to see him again. Like it sounds hilarious, but now it's backstage at All In. Like that was one of the best moments. It's just seeing Pharaoh walking around, being able to pet him whenever there was like a bit of a
Oh man.
oh, I love that dog.
And how big a pop did he get? Like
Oh my
seriously,
gosh. I
that's
know. It was amazing.
unreal. Like there's wrestlers don't get pops like that.
Yeah, that
Mental.
dog's pretty over.
Yeah, right. Oh man,
It's
I
hilarious.
actually Pharaoh, amazingly, was my first digital painting that I ever did.
Oh,
Weirdly enough,
really?
yeah. So last December, I kind of flicked back to where I was at. Was we went to a show called a promotion called Fight Forever. Did a show in Bristol in the UK called Inferno, and Cody was meant to be wrestling, but he was still injured at the time. But he still came and brandy wrestled. Anyway, we did the VIP meet and greet thing, and I was wearing the Cody propaganda shirt that I'd done, which kind of got me started on this wild roller coaster. He recognised it, and we were chatting, and he goes, "Oh, you should do me a Pharaoh shirt." So I ended up going home doing this digital painting of Pharaoh, and it kind of never got to him, I don't think. But it's like probably one of the favourite things I've ever done, just because it's my first ever digital painting. But yeah, that's kind of a weird little segue story thing about it.
That's crazy. It's like whenever I think back to my first interviews or my first, like the first time, because I had to do all the graphic design for my site when I
Sure.
started. So all my logos and everything, like I didn't have anyone helping me. I didn't have the budget as like a 16-year-old to hire someone for any of that. So I literally designed the layout of my site. I did all the graphic work. And when I think back, I'm like, wow, some of this looked like absolute shit. And then I'm like, oh, and then I look back and I'm like, oh, I pulled that off. That's pretty damn great. So I kind of I see what you're saying when you go back and you think, whoa, that started my journey, or
Yeah,
whoa, that was my first art piece or my first interview, and look at where we are now.
it's nuts. Like, I mean, how, going back to, you were 16 when you got started. Like, how does that decision come about? Like, you obviously it was a music blog, yeah, which is
Yeah,
the name of it. So Ambi, I really love that as well.
thank you.
Um, where does that come about? Like, you're a 16-year-old, so obviously growing up in Canada. I guess still in school at the time.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
was this like, I don't know what the hell I want to do when I get older, so I'm just going to do something awesome? Or how did you come to this decision?
I wish it came to me just like that. It was very natural though. It was a strange beginning. I never in my life, excuse me, had any intent to be an interviewer, to be in the music world, or to be in the wrestling world, which I know sounds crazy, and it's not because of not being passionate about those two fields. It's just because I originally wanted to be like an English teacher,
Okay.
and study journalism. So I applied to a bunch of universities and I was accepted to a ton of them. But while I did that, I decided to start a blog. Whenever I'd get super bored in class, I would always write in a notebook and I would just literally review songs or albums that just came out, and it would just be for myself to kill time because I couldn't stand school. So my parents found out I was doing this and they're like, yo, why don't you just, they didn't say yo, but they were like, why don't you just throw this online? Can you imagine my parents? Yo, put this online.
Sorry,
So
you
yeah,
just
no,
you just
no.
completely broke me. That's
Sometimes
amazing.
when I do these interviews, I try to just be my like, I'm just
Oh,
myself and so casual. I think, oh shit, did I just really say that? But anyways, um, so they said, why don't you put these online, start a blog? So I started the most basic website, started just posting these reviews from class online, and then they started weirdly gaining traction. And then because I've been a music fanatic like since in the womb. Like I love music so much, and I've been to like hundreds and hundreds of concerts. And so it got to the point where I started reaching out to artists and they'd get back to me. And so some of my first interviews were really big UK bands because I love music from across the pond. So I interviewed artists like The Enemy and Frank Turner. And when I interviewed Turner, it was right after him playing the opening ceremony for the Olympics.
oh,
So he was like super hot. And, I got a lot of traction from those guys. And then about 2.5 years ago, my site got um, pretty big on the music side of things, and I was interviewing and everything was going pretty well. And then my dad was like, why don't you try doing wrestling interviews? Like, you're a huge wrestling fan. He loves wrestling, that's why I love it. So he's like, why don't you just try? You have the platform. Worst case, your fans kind of don't get why you're doing it because you're going music and wrestling, so let's just try. So I did one. It went super well, and then now I'm here. I didn't stop.
and now you've peaked. You're on Smack Talk. This is like the pinnacle right now. So it's, oh my, no, it's a heap. This thing. It's a, what I think the term is dumpster fire actually, but we do our best. Oh man, but like, so your parents go, yo, you should put this online, right? And
Like that verbatim.
it's, oh, that's crazy. But like, how? I mean, there's going to be a lot of people listening to this, all like three of them, that really want to know how to go from that beginning point, because it's the same in music and interviewing and everything. Like there's a point where you start and you go, the mountain looks massive, and you're kind of staring up at the peak and you can barely see it through the cloud. How would you suggest someone at the very base of that mountain starts to climb? Like, what's the best thing they can be doing?
Just start putting your feet up and like literally start walking. Like that's all you can do. It's have that dream and figure out the first step to making it happen, and then just follow those steps through. When it got to the point where my reviews started doing okay online and I wanted to interview, I literally sent a tweet to people, or I'd go to their Facebook pages and go to their about page and find like an email, and I would just email them
Mm-hmm.
and they would get back to me, and that's that. You have to really put faith in yourself and believe in yourself and think, I can do this. So have a goal, make sure you think you can get that goal done, and then literally just take those steps to get there. And I know it sounds so simple, but that's literally all I did.
Mm-hmm.
I got to the point where I'm like, I want to be a great interviewer. And I'm not complacent. I want to get even better. But that's as like a 17-year-old. At that point, I was 17. I was like, I want to be an interviewer now. Let's do this. Just have that goal and go after it. And it's like I started doing 4 to 5 concerts per week simply to get content and interview people and try to hone my craft more. And you also have to put the work in. It doesn't come easy. It might seem simple at times, like have a goal, go after it, but you have to do the work in order for that goal to come to fruition and actually be successful. So just do it, guys.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely right.
find out what you're passionate about. Just do it, go after it, be kind to people. It goes a really long way, and hopefully it works out, you know?
Yeah, absolutely spot on. I mean, it was literally the exact same thing I was doing. Was I went to met Cody by chance in Japan, Wrestle Kingdom 2018, and then he was wrestling like a few months later in a city near where I live. So I took the propaganda design to him, showed him it. I was like, "Can we do something with this? You know, do you like it? Blah blah blah." He loved it. It ended up on Pro Wrestling Tees, and then, like you said, tweeting people, putting that out there, just put it into the universe and go for it, and just, you know, be respectful, but kind of like just put it out there and take a chance. Worst thing that's going to happen, someone says no, and you're in the exact same position you were before. So
Yeah.
that's
No, that's exactly it. Worst case, and this is going to sound very blunt, but worst case, you fail and you just try again. I was so damn scared of failure. Like, it would make me shake. Like, I'd feel sick. And then it got to the point where I'm like, this is stupid. Just try it. Worst case, you don't succeed, and then you just try again. And it'll eventually get to the point where you become good enough. Like, that's all it is. Don't be scared to fail, because you're gonna fail more than once in your lifetime on many different things. And if you let it stop you, you're not gonna get anywhere.
yeah, this is the strange thing, because I've never had the word failure in my dictionary. Like, not because I haven't, but because I just don't accept that it exists. Like, I ran a business, like, God, man, it was 2010 I started a business, so we're in the middle of the financial crisis. I had no money. Like, it had no right to succeed whatsoever. But just through sheer bloody mindedness, I guess, I ended up doing it for like 2.5 years and making a go of it. And I had to close it in 2013. Like, basically my whole life fell apart at the time, and I chose to close that business. And everyone's going, "Oh, the business failed." No, it didn't fail. I chose that, and I feel like if you can console yourself with the idea of choosing to do something else, then you can placate the idea of failure. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get that.
Oh, cool. So I thought we were
Sorry.
we were
I
going
think
down
my
the
answer
path.
would be so short. I was just thinking about it.
Yeah,
It's like, you understand that things might not work out, so
yeah.
it's one of those things where you just put a close to that chapter and you start something new. Not everything's gonna go your way, and I learned that.
Oh, totally.
You just have to keep being strong and pushing through, and then eventually, hopefully, things work out.
Yeah, so there you go. I mean, that's, if ever anyone's listening to this and goes, "You know what? I think that helped," then we've done our jobs, you know? So I'm
Exactly.
happy with that. Oh, man.
Exactly.
So we've covered some ground here. There's a couple other things I do need to ask you, though, before we sign this thing off. Obviously, Scarlet Bordeaux has been blipping around your radar for quite some time now, and
Scarlet.
I had to bring her up because you guys, I don't know where you're at. I mean, friends, enemies, frenemies. What's the deal there?
Definitely frenemies. There are some days we just want to lay on a beach and drink mimosas together, and then there are some days we would like to strangle one another. It is a very complicated relationship, and the latest thing, at least that I shared publicly with people, because we do talk, when we're feeling it those days, but the last thing we posted is I was interviewing Killer Kross, who is her boyfriend,
Yeah.
and she just kind of stormed in on the interview. She actually like hit me in the face with her hair. It was really rude.
Wow.
And she's like, "Oh, I can't believe you're interviewing him without inviting me." And she turned it into this whole thing, like I was trying to secretly interview her man, and I'm like, "Scarlett, I've got my own man. I don't like relax. I'm an interviewer, okay?" And she just made it this huge stupid thing. It ended up being okay in the end. Cross kind of told her, like, relax, just relax. And we ended up talking about mimosas again. So we're back on that, more friend than enemy level currently, but that can change within a text message.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's a very complex relationship.
Oh, man. So, I mean, Killer Kross, he's a scary dude, right? Jeez.
Yeah, he's very intimidating. That's for sure.
That's
but if you get him talking about candy, he becomes pretty nice.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, a little tip.
Nice. I will keep that in mind. Any particular candy or?
He likes really sweet stuff. He has a sweet tooth.
Right, I'm making notes. Literally terrifies me. So, oh man. So I mean, are we likely to see a potential mixed tag match between Killer Kross, Scarlett, and yourself and Trey?
I mean, I don't wrestle, but I'm sure I'd have an amazing trainer in Trey. So if he kind of taught me just to run the ropes, take like one bump, and he'll do all the really cool shit, then yeah, I'm down.
Well, we had Lucha Underground had it, didn't they? Melissa Santos, she got in the ring with Phoenix. So I mean, you just never know. I think you could take her.
I mean,
I don't want to say it too loud because Killer Kross might be listening, and
you don't want him getting on us, but it's something I'd definitely be open to. I'm not. I would never promise anyone. I'm never going to be a wrestler. That's definitely nothing I've ever set out to do. But if there ever came like a special show or something where someone was like, "Hey, we think this would be cool," it's definitely something where if I had to learn like two things, I would never coin myself a wrestler because I wouldn't want to ever insult people who really take this as a craft.
Exactly.
But I would just do it for shits and giggles, and I think it would really people would just freak out. I think it'd be really funny.
I think so. I think it'd go over really well. And I mean, have you taken a bump?
Never.
Dude, it hurts.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I bet.
I took. So Andy Simmons coached me on taking some bumps last summer, and my neck was screwed up for like a week.
Oh no.
It's insane.
Well, that's the point.
I mean, I'm.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, so I was just gonna say I'm old. That shit hurts.
Well, it got to the point where I was speaking with Scarlett, and we really thought that the way things were going, as far as like that segment of her and I is one of the top rated things that company has put out. So we really thought that there was potential that would be carried through a little bit more because the response was so great. And it wasn't. So her and I decided to kind of take our own hands or put it into our own hands and do more with it. And it was the right decision because people just absolutely love it. And there was one point though where she's like, "You might have to take a bump or two." And I was like, "Oh god." Oh gosh.
Oh, it's fun. It's really fun. It's not fun. It really hurts. Oh man. Well, hopefully we'll get to see something, blossom from this chaotic. What's the best word I can put? Well, frenemies relationship that you have. Hopefully we'll see something come from that. Yeah. And maybe peace will reign.
Yeah, well, maybe. Who knows? John got close. He got close to us being friends. He started singing Wagon Wheel with us. And
nice.
Yeah, we started singing and kind of like putting our fists in the air, and then we were like over it. We're like, "Sorry, John, but this isn't working."
That's amazing. Oh, so right, guess we should really wrap this thing up because you're a very busy interview queen, and I've taken up far too much of your time. But I just, I do like to finish these things on a positive. So who would you like to give a mention or shout out to that doesn't normally get one?
Ooh, that's like such a good question, but I'm really like, I don't want to say someone because then I feel like I'm leaving like 50 people out. That's hard.
Yeah, it's the tricky one.
That's.
I mean, you can throw 5 or 6 in if you want. I don't care.
I know. I just feel like I want to be saying like not the wrong names, but just like someone will get wind of it and be like, "What the hell? You didn't mention me, you bitch!" Like I don't want to do that.
Don't worry. Like 5 people watch this shit. It's fine.
I don't want to like not answer your question, but that's really tricky. I might have to plead the fifth on this. Like that's really hard. I can think of names.
We don't have the 5th in the UK.
Well, then I will take a gaming pass.
Oh, you sneaky. Oh man. Okay, I'll tell you what, I'll let you off the hook. Only because it's you, mind you. I wouldn't normally, but because it's you, I'll let you off the hook.
Oh, thank you.
That's all right. So where can all your fans and people who may or may not have heard of you yet find you on socials?
Yes. So if you guys just go to aliciaatout.com, you will find everything from my Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. If you just go to like your nice Google box, just type up my name, and everything comes up. And I really appreciate every follow, every subscription, every hello. Like I love when fans say hey or they tweet out interviews and I'm like, oh sick, like you liked that one and she liked that one, and you know it's very cool for me to see. So just hit up Alicia Atout in that Google machine and come over to my internet world and say hi.
Internet world, I love that. Google machine, I've never heard that one before.
Yeah, that Google box.
Since I'm not sponsored by Google, other search engines are available. I should point that out.
Yeah, right. But that one's usually easiest and less complex.
Exactly. It's like Hoover. It's actually a vacuum cleaner, but everyone calls it a Hoover because the brand name got really popular.
Oh.
But anyway, that's a little British fact for you.
Look at that.
Thrown in free of charge. So, cool. Well, thank you so much, Your Majesty. It's been an absolute honour to converse with you in this way.
I want to say thank you so much for having me on. I remember seeing that Bullet Club design and thinking this is super cool, and now I have you doing some stuff for me, which is really sick, and now we're here, so hopefully I'll see you sooner than later. I'm sure we'll keep in touch over the interwebs, but thank you so much for having me on.
No problem at all. The Google box is firing on all cylinders, so we'll definitely make that happen. And yeah, working on some stuff with yourself, so I didn't really want to say anything in case it was top secret, but since you've mentioned it, it's all good.
Yeah.
So, and if any of you guys would like to find out more about these wacky adventures that we're going on, I can't believe I just said wacky adventures. That's as good as you saying yo. Jesus Christ. Oh man. So yeah, it's at smacktalk_UK on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. You can head over to smacktalk.co.uk for all your merch needs. All the designs are done exclusively by myself, so please do check them out and support it, because anything you buy helps us produce more and unique and diverse content, which is me to say. Anyway, once again, thank you to Alicia Atout for joining us today, and we'll see you on the next one.